Hey friends, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about an important topic that I don't think gets talked about enough. It might be a niche topic, so maybe no one is going to resonate with this out there, but I know some folks out there feel my pain. How to manage your nutrition when you're both pregnant and breastfeeding. I don't know why I'm using both my thumbs. I naively thought that when Leo turned 1, that it would just go from breastfeeding to food and whole milk, and it would just be like this easy peasy full transition right away. And boy, was I wrong. So right now, Leo is about 15 months old, and I'm 22 weeks pregnant. So while my pregnancy brain is not really good at math right now, I've been both breastfeeding and being pregnant for about 5 months total. And I'll admit that I was already struggling with keeping up with nursing needs beforehand, before I got pregnant. It's one of those things that, like, once you have a kid, once you're postpartum, those kind of things like eating regular meals, having plenty of protein, getting in these high fiber foods, it can be really tough. And then on top of it, your calorie needs are so much higher. And so you're constantly feeling hungry and craving carbs and just feeling like your needs are never fully met. And to top it all off, you have never been busier, more frazzled, and like had less time to focus on your nutrition than ever before. So it really helps to be proactive with this and think about your nutrition ahead of time before you get to that stage versus, getting to it and and kind of winging it. I'll admit that I kind of got a little cocky and thought I'd be fine. And I definitely, even myself as a dietitian, needed to plan a little bit more to be successful. So I wanted to share some of the tips that worked for me personally and some of the ways that I've been, changing things up to make sure that I'm prioritizing my nutrition and feeling full and satisfied so I can keep my milk supply and nourish baby, and then also make sure that I am not feeling fatigued and putting myself at risk for postpartum depression, which I'm pretty sure I already have, but that's a story for another time. All right, tip number 1 is to plan, plan, plan. So when I say plan, I mean specifically for your meals. You're gonna think that, oh, I'm a healthy person before I got pregnant and before I started breastfeeding, like I'll be totally fine, right? My schedule won't be that different. No, your life is gonna change so much for the better, but you have to be proactive with making sure that you're intentionally making time for meal planning and thinking ahead of what you want, or else you're gonna get to dinner, you're gonna get to breakfast, and you're not gonna know what to do, and you're gonna grab whatever is in your fridge. So here I'm specifically talking about meal planning. So not necessarily meal prepping. You don't have to meal prep to be successful, I don't think, but we'll get to that later. This step specifically is you are going to plan out at least 3 to 4 dinners, breakfasts, and lunches. And if you want to add on a bonus, plan out some snacks too, to make sure that you're setting yourself up for some ideas going into the next week. I like to do this on Friday. Usually, sometimes it's on Saturday if I don't get to it on Friday, but I like to plan these out on Friday or Saturday before I go to the store. And I usually put it in a little notebook. I got like a tiny cute notebook from Target so it would motivate me. But I write these out for not only the ideas for the following week so I can just flip to that page and be like, okay, what did I plan? But also so that I can build my grocery list out before I go to the store either on Saturday or Sunday. Let me know if you've tried this before. I know that I used to just kind of wing it week to week and have healthy meals and healthy snacks and be totally fine. But with having a little one on the way and then having Leo, who is 15 months old, it's just not gonna happen. I need to deload my ideas while I have them. Otherwise, I can't think for myself in the moment. I know that sounds bad, but it's just the mom brain. Tip number 2 is that liquid calories are actually your friend when you're breastfeeding and pregnant. I know, weird, right? But specific liquid calories, let me be clear. So with breastfeeding, they estimate that this takes up to 500, sometimes estimates have been higher, 500 to, I've heard up to 700 calories are tacked on to your baseline needs. So if your needs are 2,100 calories, then your new needs are 26 to 2,800 calories. That's a big difference. And for pregnancy, it changes per trimester, but in the third trimester, you add up to 300 to 400 extra calories. So you can imagine why combining the two of these things is extra taxing on your psyche and on your energy. So you need to find ways that are going to be easy to add in extra calories when you are pregnant or uncomfortable or not hungry and your body actually needs more calories than ever before. So I know liquid calories get this really bad rep, but one of my favorite ways to add in calories when I am nursing or pregnant or both is by smoothies. I usually do a protein powder, some fruit, some whole milk if possible. That adds a little more calories too. And then you can add things like oatmeal or nut butters to add even more calories to the mix. But this is a really easy way to make sure you're having a calorie dense meal at least one time a day to get in those extra calories that you might not be able to because you're feeling nauseous or you're feeling this or that, or you're just too busy to eat the calories because you're taking care of a toddler. Either way, it helps. Even things like the occasional glass of orange juice. I know orange juice gets talked about so poorly, like the glucose goddess. I think I just saw a post that she was like talking about how terrible orange juice was for you, but it's full of nutrients that can actually help to meet your nutrient needs during this precious time. So if you need to, including juice occasionally, is not the worst thing in the world. I know I'm gonna get bashed for that in the comments by somebody, but liquid calories are one of the easiest ways to add extra calories to your diet when you're not really feeling up to adding extra calories. I personally love the Orgain pre-made shakes as well. They have protein ones, and then they also have a nutrition shake that has a couple more calories than the protein one. I highly recommend that if you're breastfeeding. And a cheaper alternative could also be something like chocolate milk. If you want like the Fairlife protein version, that one is my favorite for like a chocolate milk that's a little bit on the healthier side. Those are all good things to add to make sure you're meeting your nutrient needs and make sure you're feeling energized to tackle your day. Sorry to go on a tangent with that one, but I always hear that people are just so anti-liquid calories. I feel like it's like a 90s kid thing that we're just like taught that liquid calories are always bad. And in this case, I think as long as you're not having like empty sugar and soda and stuff like that, I think that getting your liquid calories from stuff that has nutritional content is going to be helpful. And then adding calories from things like soda and stuff, not so helpful. So just to be clear, I'm not talking about sodas. I'm talking about things that have nutritional content to them, like vitamins and minerals that are going to help to add to your diet and to the nutrient needs that your brain, your baby, and your breastfeeding baby all need. Tip number 3, and one of my favorite personal tips, is to prep while you're already cooking. So even though we have less time than we ever did before as new moms, here's the deal. You have to eat eventually. So I know that at some point you're going into the kitchen and you are prepping something, even if it's a peanut butter sandwich, even if it's something in the air fryer that's really quick, even if it's a frozen meal, you're going into the kitchen and you're prepping something. So what I want you to try out this week is that when you do go in the kitchen and prep something, no matter what it is, try to add on one additional thing when you are in the kitchen. So an example of this could be when you are prepping something for lunch, you can chop a few extra strawberries so you can have them for later in the week. Or you can prep a couple servings of overnight oats. I know when I'm in a pinch, I literally just put them in a big container and make like 3 or 4 servings in that big container. And then as I go out throughout the week, I just take them out like that. It's less fidgeting with multiple different containers and stuff like that. If you're short on time. Another thing that me and Leo have really been loving is baked oatmeal. I've been making a pumpkin baked oats from Ambitious Kitchen I add some protein powder to that recipe. That's been a really good one because it has 8 servings. So you cook it once, 8 servings, and you can cut it up and freeze it and have a convenient breakfast at any time. I also do the same thing with like an egg casserole or egg bites, stuff like that. Those can all be really easy things to prep that don't barely take any time to actually like make up. And then you just stick it in the oven while you're eating. And voila, you have an extra meal and you spent just about the same amount of time in the kitchen. That's a big thing for me because I really just don't have time to sit in my kitchen for 4 hours over the weekend and make meal prep happen. Like with Leo, it's just so hard to do one task for hours on end. So I don't have time for that. So I like to incorporate it with our schedule as it flows naturally so I can still focus on him, make sure he is enjoying a meal with me, and then something's baking in the oven while I'm already cooking and eating. Tip number 4 is don't wait until you're starving to eat. I know this is like an easy duh one maybe for some, but this is one of those things, especially when you are nursing or pregnant, that is really easy to do. Be proactive with your hunger and fullness. Like maybe you can take a couple days this week and write down in a notebook what times you're normally feeling hungry at, and then use that information to be proactive the next time, the next week, to addressing your hunger signals before they address you. So for me, I usually eat about 6 times a day, and that's kind of my plan. I'll have not rigid scheduled times to eat, but I know loosely, okay, usually I feel hungry around 7:30. I want a snack around 11 o'clock, and then usually I eat lunch around 1, and then have a snack around 3:34, and then have dinner later on, like 7 o'clock or something like that. Usually I have a later dinner lately because of Glenn and his work and stuff like that. So I know that I'm roughly going to be eating around those times, but that's taken a long time for me to really understand and know my body well. For you, it might be totally different times, and according to your work schedule and stuff like that, it might be different, but just being proactive with your hunger can help you make more mindful choices when you actually go to find food versus when you go into the fridge. I know, especially with nursing hunger and pregnancy hunger, when I'm already hungry and I go into the fridge, I have like blurry vision. I can't think straight. I just want to eat like a piece of toast. So it's really helpful to be proactive and to make sure that you're not waiting till the last minute. Bonus tip I have for you to meeting your nutritional needs is actually staying on a good prenatal while you are postpartum and nursing. So if you want to check out my favorite supplements for this time period, my personal favorite is Parallel. They have multivitamin packs to help you fill in the nutritional gaps. So you can check out my discount code in the description. I also really love the brand Needed. They are another really great postpartum and pregnancy based company that focuses on women's health during these time periods. So the one I prefer, if you're going to choose Needed, is actually their vitamin powder, if you can't tolerate any sort of pills. Parallel is my personal favorite. It's not sponsored. However, Needed is good if you want a good multivitamin powder, so I'll leave them both in the description. The last tip I have for you is to not neglect protein, fat, and fiber, and to get the right carbs when you are fueling your body. I'm actually going to talk about this in depth in my next video, so head on over to this video so you can know my exact strategy on how to eat all day long for better blood sugar. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.